welcome back. And quickly, I will reintroduce Michelle Wiles and also Jim McMillan, and they are activists. And we're talking about the resettlement of people coming into our country, and especially into South Carolina and the area surrounding us here. We don't know who they are or what their purpose is many times. They're not all evil people, nobody's saying that, but we need to be aware of what's going on right here in our own area. And you had some things, Michelle, that you wanted to address.
Right, earlier we were talking about how did this come to be here, who's doing all this.
Yeah.
So President Obama, of course, wants more and more in here. And I was actually privy to a meeting here in Spartanburg County with the Assistant Secretary of Immigration and Refugee Programs to Obama. And in that meeting, she states, and I have the transcript from that, about 5 to 7 times where these refugees from Syria in particular, or Middle Eastern areas, cannot be properly vetted. They have no Interpol. They have no way of tracking them. There's no database with that area. So Nikki Haley, the governor of South Carolina, invited the refugee program, resettlement program, to South Carolina. You have to be invited here, as we said earlier, in order to participate in this program.
So in other words, the governor opened the door.
She did.
For these people to come in here.
Yes.
And somebody gets money for bringing them in here?
Right. With allowing that program to come here, there are federal dollars that come with the refugees, and also the organizations like World Relief or Lutheran Services, there's a bunch of them. They also get money per head.
So some of the churches are getting money.
Yes. The World Relief, for example, one of the men who are in charge of that through Baptist Network here in Spartanburg County, he stated that he really didn't know the exact number, but it was between $800 and $900 per head.
That comes back to
World Relief, for example.
Yeah. Well, I think people, you know, we want to be helpful. We want to be kind. And many of these people are victims. You know, we have been fortunate enough that we've never had to seek this. But many of these people are decent people who just want a better life. But how do you separate those from the terrorists?
Well, let me say this too, that the normal media sources people look at, like your local news, your newspapers, are not telling the whole truth. The majority of refugees that are coming from the Middle East are Muslims, and they are coming from the United Nations camps.
Okay.
And they are chosen by the United Nations for the United States. That is where the majority of these refugees are coming from. They are not Christians.
No, no. So most of them coming are not Christians.
Correct.
So by letting these Muslims in, it will change our society. Is this what you're saying?
Yes. I'm originally from Michigan, and there's a huge area called Dearborn.
I know.
That is Muslim. They actually call it Dearborn Ixan, because when you go there, it doesn't look like an American city anymore. It's all full Muslims. So just to touch a little bit, my family, my mother's side is originally from Poland, and I won't go through the whole story, but they came through Ellis Island, and they came here and they started bakeries or butcher shops and things like that. And so they're in an area called Hamtramck, which is very, very close to Dearborn.
Yeah.
And so in Hamtramck, for example, they actually have the Muslim call to prayer 5 times a day over the blowhorn. Everybody has to listen to it. And that was voted in by the city council. So even if you're not a Muslim, you have to listen to it every day, 365 days a year, 5 times a day. This is what happens.
I'm sorry, if I can interject. You mentioned that a lot of them aren't Christians. It's estimated that about 3% of them are Christians. So that leaves about 97% that aren't, mostly Muslim.
Yeah. So is there some sort of a movement to stop this, or what is going on? We've opened our doors, and we've got to know who's coming into our country for safety reasons, for ourselves and our families.
That's right.
It doesn't mean that you're against someone, but you have a right to know who's coming in here.
But you can be for someone.
Of course you can.
You can be for your family and your grandkids, and I can be for your family. I can be for the American family, and that's why we're here. And there are things that we can do, Peggy, and that's what this Facebook page is about that we started, is to get people aware of what's going on, and then to help them understand what to do to help the situation. You know, one of the problems we have in our country today, I think, is about 50% of the people are on one side and about 50% of the people are on the other side. And all of the elected officials, they're afraid to do anything because they're going to offend 50% of the people, no matter what they do, just about. I was on the way over here, we were on the way over here, and we stopped at the store and picked up some breath mints. And we stopped at Ingles. I'll plug Ingles. Looked up and it said an American company. In front of our company, Panacea Biofuel, we have a sign. It says an American-owned company. People are afraid to put that out there. They're afraid they'll offend someone else by saying they're an American company. Our elected officials are afraid they're going to offend someone, so they won't take a stand. And what we're asking our officials to do is to take a stand. Take a stand for the American people this time. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid that you're going to lose a little block vote over here, but protect our people. And that's why we started this Facebook.
Okay. And you want people to join this movement that you have, and what do you call it? Do you have a name for what you're working on?
We don't call it anything other than Secure Spartanburg County.
Okay.
Secure South Carolina.
Okay, because the people who aren't in Spartanburg County, they're going to say, well, you know, that doesn't affect me.
But they can go to that Facebook page and
go
they
to
can
Secure Spartanburg County,
SC.
SC.
If they go there, they can get all kinds of information, and it is relevant to anywhere.
Okay.
They can message us there. They can ask any questions they want there, and we have lots of information on that Facebook page. And if they can't find it, we'll get it for them.
What about calling our elected officials?
Okay.
What should we do about that?
Sure.
Call them up and ask them what?
Well, let me go back, if I can, just a minute to Secure Spartanburg County. We talked about this a little bit, that it's so important, no matter what county you live in, to support every county in our state.
Okay.
Because once anyone becomes a citizen, they're free to roam this country throughout.
Right. Okay.
So it's not just Spartanburg County, it's really the whole state and the whole country.
All right.
So what we did was, people don't know what to do. You're right. You say, okay, Secure
Okay,
Spartanburg
because
County.
we're going to run out of time. So what should we do?
What we need to do, the first thing we need to do is contact your elected officials.
All right.
And it's best to start at the local level. Start at your city level and your county level, and then work your way up through the state.
All right.
And tell them, because in the meeting that Michelle was in, they stated, if your community is hostile to the resettlement program, they will not bring them into your community. So you have to get your elected officials to say that we want to put a moratorium. We want to stop immigration until we get them vetted.
All right. That's it. That's what you're saying. You don't want to stop it totally. That's what made this country. Everybody who's here they came from someplace else. But people out there are going to say, well, we want to help people who genuinely deserve to help. And some of these people are good people. So what you want us to do then is to be aware, first of all, of what's out there, and to demand that these people be checked out before they're just let
That's
in.
right. Let's stop it. Let's slow down just a minute
Okay.
and get them vetted. But let's get everyone writing and calling their
Okay.
county councilman, their city councilman, and their legislators to
Well,
start
and
with.
we have to
On
remember
the
too how much it
resettlement
costs.
program.
We have to remember how much it's going to cost us too.
Yeah.
As he mentioned earlier, vets,
Okay.
poor people. This is going to drain our resources, and
Sure
we're
it
not
will.
taking care of the people here.
So we need to take care of our own first.
Yes.
Think about throwing all these kids into our school system.
I know.
What is that going to do
It's
to
gonna
us?
be
That's going
problems.
to blow your budget out
Yeah.
of the water.
Yeah.
That's our
So
hospitals.
we just, you know, whatever side you take, we wanted you to know that this is going on right here. And I have a phone number, and I'll keep their names, and if you want more information, you're welcome to call me, and I'll be glad to supply it. Bless you for what you're doing.
you.
Thank you, Peggy.
We need to move forward, and first of all, we need to be faithful to our own families and our own country.
Amen.
It starts there.
And our own God.
And our own God, yes. We'll see you next time.